Hello, my dear spiritual rebels. How's it going, darlings? If you're watching this, please drop a hello and let us know where you're tuning in from and why it's self-practice, the self-love practice is so important to you. Let us know. So with further out said, my name is Freedom Rivera, hostess of the Nourished Unicorns Book Club. And tonight is our very first interview, part of the self-love interview series here in this group, in which I'm so psyched to and honor to present to you guys our dear member, Valerie Blum. Valerie is the founder of InspiredTrails.com. She's a holistic mentor and she will be soon joining us. So let me talk to you a little bit about Valerie. Hi, Debbie. Good to see you here. Yay! So let me talk to you a little bit about Valerie. Valerie, she helps people step into a life of natural well-being and meaning. She guides her clients through practices such as strengthening their mind, body, and spirit, connections, and controlling their stress responses, clearing mindset blocks, and energy healing. Valerie believes that our minds and bodies are far more capable than we are led to believe, and that with daily practice, we are capable of healing ourselves. Valerie has over 10 years of personal, professional, and educational experience in emotional distress, spiritual healing, and personal growth. In her free time, Valerie enjoys traveling with her husband and their daughter. She is currently working towards simplifying her family's life. Her 2018 goal is to sell everything they own, buy a RV, and spend the next few years traveling the US and Canada with her family, which I think that's amazing. I spoke to Valerie early this week and her energy was so light and joyful. We were cracking up through the whole conversation. So let me see if Valerie is here. Hi, Ivy. Oh my goodness, long time no see, darling. So happy to have you here. So happy to have you back. Yes, Valerie is here and I'm going to add her. Ta-da! So while Valerie is being added, I want to briefly introduce myself to all those who are new to this group or new watching this video. My name is Freedom Rivera. I'm a spiritual mentor, founder of freedomrivera.com, and hostess of the global book club, the Nourished Unicorns Book Club. So why I created this project? I created this project because one of my missions is to help women, spiritual rebels, to simplify their lives, toss away the drama, toss away the stress, by simplifying their lives and create a life they enjoy and love. So without further ado, guys, here it is, Valerie Blum. Hi, Valerie.
Hi, Freedom. How are you?
I am so ecstatic for this first interview.
I am too.
Yay!
This is so awesome. Thank you so much for inviting me to do this.
You are very welcome. This whole project is about learning self-practice, and I know you share with me your own personal journey to the practice of self-love. One second. So I want to ask you, Valerie, let's start. Let's just dive in, guys. And please, for everybody who's watching live, feel free to post your own questions. So my first question to you, Valerie, is what does self-love means to you? And why do you believe self-love is important?
Okay, so self-love. And this is interesting because I think a lot of people mistake self-love with self-care. And it's there's a very distinct difference. Self-love is on an emotional basis. So self-love is being present in your body and aware of any emotional any emotions and feelings that need to be addressed. It's acknowledging the different emotions and not turning away from them, but pushing through and working through them. And most importantly, to me, self-love is turning inward for love and acceptance rather than outward to other people and other things. You can have, on the outside, the picture perfect life. You can have all the money, you can have the perfect family, you can have the perfect job, home, cars. But if you don't have self-love, you are always going to be seeking more, and you're never really going to fully grasp true happiness. Self-love, like one of the reasons I think it's so important is I look at it as the most essential component to happiness. I mean, this is where you really gain self-worth and self-esteem. This is the path to discovering your purpose, and this is where you can really live a fulfilled life. So without this, it's almost like you're just continually floating from one thing to another, just seeking acceptance and happiness and peace and love. And it's really important to know that through self-love, all of this stuff is inside of you. This is also, it's not something you have to learn or something that you have to go out and get. It is there. It is already there waiting for you.
Indeed, girlfriend, definitely. Well said. And something definitely that you just shared for me that was the highlight. It's that you have differentiated, you have distinguished between self-love and self-care, which most of the time, you're right, people, women get so confused with self-care. So I'm going to do my nails and I'm going to do the facials, and you can do, and by all means do that. Self-care is great. It's like great practice.
And I got a massage. That's self-care. That is not self-love.
Exactly. I mean, it's a one-way practicing, but the external part, which there is nothing wrong with that. And I so, encourage people to do that. But let's get deeper than that. And this is what this whole series is all about. Go very deep inside, go inward, and really start identifying what are our blocks through the stories sharing by these wonderful women that we're going to be interviewing here at the club. So Valerie, my next question to you is, can you please walk us through your own self journey? Can you let us know about your lowest point in your life, that you were in a stage in your life in which you are not practicing self-love? Can you walk us through that, please?
Absolutely. So I think a lot of people can relate to this. It wasn't just, I woke up one morning and found myself in this situation. It was something that built. It took many, many years of not loving myself, not being attentive to those emotions that just kept pulling me down and down. And so if I backtrack my life all the way to my early 20s, I was diagnosed with endometriosis when I was 21 years old, and I had 2 surgeries because of it, and was told basically you're never going to have children, you're always going to be in pain, this is your life. And then a few years later I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, and again, it was just, there was no hope given to me. There was just really nothing. I kind of numbed myself from it. And it's interesting because I was thinking about it today, is when I got the diagnosis of cancer, I was at that point so numb from the previous experiences with endometriosis that when I told one of my best friends, she started crying. And I actually laughed. And I was like, it's really not a big deal. It's just cancer. It's like the new cold. Everybody gets it. And that was the way I dealt with it. I didn't allow myself to feel the pain or the fear or the frustration. There was no emotions were addressed at all.
So this is what I call sweeping everything under the carpet,
I was so good at that. I was a professional at that. And so that is what I did with everything. And I dealt with a lot of physical pain from my illnesses, and there was never, at that time that's when I first turned to yoga and meditation. But I used it the wrong way. I used it as a quick fix. And once I was better, I turned my back on it again. And so anytime I started to fall back in that place, I would go back to yoga meditation, and then I would be better, and then I would turn my back on it again. So I never really healed. I never addressed these things. And so I just got to a place of I was really sick. I was angry, but it was hidden behind, like I just hid everything behind a wall. There was a lot of depression and a lot of isolation because I just didn't want to talk to people about it. I didn't even know how to talk to myself about it. It wasn't, I didn't allow myself to have the emotions, the thoughts, any of it. And so I kept going down that road. And years, I mean, literally a decade of doing this to myself, to where I eventually found myself in a place where I was bartending and I was out late and I was drinking all the time. And I realized that I was actually numbing the pain with alcohol daily. I would come in and to my job, and I was allowed to drink while I was there. And immediately I would start drinking hard liquor and just getting myself to a place where I could smile and laugh and have fun with people, because it was not going to happen if I was sober. And it was a situation where I would do that every day, whether I was working or not. I would still go to the bar and drink, and I would leave and curl up in the backseat of my car and go to sleep until I was no longer drunk enough, too drunk to drive home. And that was my life every single day. And I hid that from, I had two worlds. I was still in undergrad, and I had a very professional persona there. And then I had, my numb life on the other side, where I would just drink and sleep in my car. And it was really sad. Like, looking back at it now, it was a really sad place to be.
Very
I had no
lonely
idea who
place
I
to
was.
be. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had no idea who I was. I was in no way authentic to my own, beliefs.
And
I was
just
just,
to add to that, to make sure, because what you're saying is so powerful, this stage in your life, and it's powerful in a way that there's many of us that at some point in our life has felt so lonely and not knowing how to deal with the ugly, right?
hmm
We don't know how to deal
yeah,
with the suffering
yeah,
or with the
yeah.
ugly. And one of the fast dealing ways to do how to deal with this, the fastest way is by not facing it and trying
Yeah.
to do different things. And interesting enough, yesterday we were discussing the book Spirit Junkie, in which I think this really relates to your story as well, Valerie. When we find those small times of nourishment for our souls, such as yoga and
hmm
meditation, we're saying yes to love. We're saying yes to the love
hmm
of our relationship with ourselves. And even though we know it, and sometimes we give that back, we give the back to love. It's like giving the back to the universe.
hmm
We go back and hold hands with fear, right? We
Yeah.
actually choose fear. We actually choose fear rather than love, because for most of our lives we've been holding hands with fear, and
hmm
fear was taught through the grown-ups when back in our childhood most of the time, and that was the
Yeah.
only best way that they deal with their own fear. So we get to practice it as we become adults. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we get comfortable there. That's it. It's not a happy place to be, but it's a comfortable place to be. We know what to expect. Um, so I did have a little bit of a secret life, though. I still, I guess to say, on my bucket list was always to meet the Dalai Lama. So I had a very spiritual side of me that nobody knew about, like literally nobody knew about. And so there were times when I was really sad, and I would read my Dalai Lama books, I would read my personal growth books, and but like you said, you get scared, and then so you turn your back to it, and you go back to the painful place. And I think the really, really low part for me was and I've told you this story. I was at the bar on one of my days off, and I was drinking, and one
Hold
of
on, is this
the
your aha moment? Is this your
no, this
aha
is not my
moment?
aha moment.
Oh, okay, go
Not
ahead.
yet. Not yet. This was
We're gonna
the
have an aha
not
moment,
yet.
guys. Stay tuned. Hi,
So
Jennifer, by
that
the
wasn't
way.
it.
Jennifer, you are so, oh my
So
God, welcome, Jennifer Amphalandi. So good to have you here, girl. Happy to see you. Go ahead, Val.
So I was at the bar and, hanging out and talking to people, and one of the customers, one of the regulars, physically picked me up, and started walking out of the bar with me as if I was an object or a piece of property. And like he laughed and flat out said he was taking me home, and I had to physically fight to get away from him. And, in the end, to be called like every horrible name a woman has ever been called. And I curled up in the back seat of my car where I would sleep my alcohol off, and I cried, like sobbed, with tear-soaked face for hours. I could not believe that's where I was. But no, that was not my aha moment.
But this is, I think, and it probably was one of your painful moments.
It was painful. Yeah, it was bad. I felt very scared and very alone. I felt ashamed. I didn't know who I could talk to. I did have one friend who I ended up talking to her, but other than that, I didn't feel like I had a support system to go to, because I isolated myself from that. I created this world of loneliness, and that's where I was, all by myself.
And so, can you now take us to a specific time in your life, which is a powerful moment, or how I call it, the awakening moment? Can you share with us that, that awakening moment in which led to the path of self-love?
Okay, well, I have two. So one was like my pre-moment, and then one was like my really big moment. So shortly after that, I met my husband, and I had actually decided to leave my job. I was no longer going to bartend there, and it was my last night. And I, of course, drank way, like more than I could not even tell you the amount of alcohol I drank that night. And he was there, and he took me home, and it was just such a mess of a night. He actually stayed to make sure I got home, and then it turned out I left my cell phone in my car. He drove me all the way back to get my cell phone, all the way back home. I was sick. It was really bad. And I felt like the most horrible person, because I had this amazing guy who, despite my mess of a life, still was completely in love with me. And this is what I was giving him.
So here you are in front of this amazing person in your eyes. We were just discussing that yesterday, but your wholeness wasn't there yet.
Yeah. Like I was just like, what are you doing? And all of my previous relationships were very toxic, and this one was very different. And not to put him like on some pedestal, like he was, this wonderful being. He's a wonderful man, but it was just, he treated me right. For the first time in my life, I was treated right. I was treated with respect, and this is what I was putting back in exchange. And that is the last time I drank alcohol or liquor, and that was over 5 years ago.
After meeting him and realizing that...
After that night, that is the last time I ever touched it, and it's been 5 years.
What?
So
when you went in between, inwards, to have this reality check of what kind of thoughts came into your mind?
A lot of it was, I knew that I was better than this. There was always something inside me that told me, you're meant for more than this. You are better than this. And at the same time, there was another voice going, what the hell are you doing? Like, if my inner voice could have smacked me across the face, it probably would have that day. But it was a huge reality check for me. I think because I just had in my head before that that I was just going to continue to carry my past toxic relationships and negative relationships with me. And that was a wake-up call that, not everybody is bad. Not all relationships are bad. You can change things. And I knew I was going to screw up if I didn't change something then. So that was my pre-aha moment. So my real aha moment
Ta-da!
this was my real one. My real aha moment, so at that point, yes, I started to, there was a lot of changes I started making at that point, and I really started turning inward, the journaling, meditation, yoga. Really shifting to pay attention to what was inside of me, what was inside my heart, following
that, uh-huh. No, I
the
was
pre-aha
saying,
moment.
yes, so that was your time in which, remember that those small little loving times that you had doing yoga and meditation, and you turned your back from it.
And so I stopped doing that.
Exactly, and so you start facing love again. Something that might have not been familiar, but you decided to hear that inner voice in yourself and be like, you know what, I'm going to do this love journey.
Yeah. So then, I've been on my journey for a few years at the official aha moment, and my husband and I were now married, and our daughter was born. And about, I'd say 6 months after she was born, well, let me back up. When I was pregnant and I found out I was having a daughter, I cried. Because I was scared. I was scared for her to go through the experiences that I went through. And so I was just horrified. I was like, what am I going to do? And so I kind of retracted a little bit and went to this like helpless stage. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And so about 6 months after she was born, something just snapped inside of me. And I was like, you know what you're going to do? You're going to get your act together. You're going to be a role model for her. And you are going to teach her how to not do all the things that you did. And and that's when everything shifted, everything. And so in a sense, like the two of them are really, my husband and my daughter, they're really what they saved me. I didn't have motivation to do it myself back then. And they've always been I can tell you right now, when we get off this, my daughter's going to come running in the other room and go, yay, mommy, yay, and give me a hug because she's watching from the bedroom.
Beautiful.
But they were they were what made me realize that I was worth so much more, and that everything that I had gone through was for a reason, and it was to share it with other people and to help other people go through the same thing. And everybody has a similar situation, I think, to an extent. And in just being able to relate and say it, open about it and talk and say, I've been there and I can walk you through that. That I feel like is my purpose, and that makes everything that I went through worth it.
What would you say? How did you manage to get out of the medical ugly? Can you walk us through that? Because I'm sure some people.
Was hard.
Yes, because I'm sure some people, that's one question that I'm sure people have, that, here I am in the middle of all these medical issues. How the hell can I practice self-love? Yes.
Meditation. Oh my God, meditation. I have a lot of different practices to help me with it, because I still struggle with it. And even about a year and a half ago, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I have shifted myself to a place where I don't use any medications, and I fully go. How to say this? I sustain my health through meditation, yoga, journaling, and mindset. That's really what the biggest thing is. It's the first thing I do in meditation every single time is a body scan. And I go through my entire body and I see where I feel pain and where I feel tension or anything. And I acknowledge it and I don't push it out. And I think that's one of the hardest things with people who go through chronic pain is they try to push pain away. And I have learned never to do that. Never, ever, ever push the pain away. Welcome it the same way you would welcome something that is joyful. Acknowledge it and just let it be. Because when you fight chronic pain, you will lose. It will overcome you. When you accept that your body is going to have pain some days and other days it's different, and you honor it, and maybe some days I'm in too much pain to do yoga. That's fine. I'm going to lay on my mat and I'm going to meditate. Maybe I can, do a couple stretches here and there. I think that's really vital when you're going through any kind of medical condition, is to really just honor your body and your soul. And some days you can't do things, don't beat yourself up over it. Some days are better than others. Just love yourself, accept where you are, and focus on what you can do. Focus on how much you have progressed, and just really try to block out all the stuff, the noise in your head. Because when you're in that state, when you're diagnosed, when somebody tells you you have cancer, a lot of really, really nasty stuff starts going on in your head. And some of it is blaming yourself, and some of it is, well, this happened because this, or, you don't deserve to be healthy. And there's a lot of really horrible things start to go on. And you gotta stop listening to it. You have to journal. You have to, feel your emotions, write them down, and meditate and let it go. And that's all you can do.
And I think a lot of spiritual leaders from different type of spiritual backgrounds are encouraging people to do meditation, whether they call it meditation or they call it, having a quiet time by yourself, tuning in inwards,
Mm-hmm.
It's so crucial. And something that I very much appreciate that you mentioned is self-acceptance. I think that's one of the ingredients of loving yourself, of having a healthy relationship with yourself. And you also mentioned, identifying the progress, the achievements. And something that I want to note is that doesn't matter if they're small or big, they are steps moving you forward. And I think for many people that go through depression and anxiety, it's that sometimes there are going to be days that are so hard, like something as basic as taking a shower. It's going to be an immense goal for the day. And now applying self-acceptance and identifying as like, you know what, today I did take a shower. So in that itself is just an achievement itself. That's your achievement. That could be your Oscar moment, in your life. So definitely pay attention to that, guys. If you're going through some struggles, or if you want to share or have a question for Valerie, this is the time for you to ask any questions. So thank you so much, Val, for sharing your journey. We very much appreciate it. And I'm going to ask you a couple of QAs questions here. Why do you think you were not practicing self-love prior to your awakening moment?
I wasn't taught it. Plain and simple. I wasn't taught that. And I think a lot of us aren't. I think a lot of us are taught to look to others and imitate what other people are doing. And when sorry, I just lost my thought for a second. When I was young, it was, and especially when you're young and you're really impressionable, when I was young, it was a lot of just trying to fit in. And fitting in has absolutely nothing to do with self-love. It has to do with who you hang out with, what are you interested in, what clothes do you wear, what do you do for fun. And there doesn't leave a lot of space for who are you, and what is valuable about you, how are you different. Different is not something that is in that you want in your vocabulary when you're younger. And I think it's something that's learned over time to not practice self-love and instead to try to be part of the in crowd. And so that's where I was. It was just trying to fit into everybody else, trying to be accepted by everybody else.
Wouldn't it be lovely to have courses about self-love in primary school, middle school?
Yes.
That would be, oh my
Yes,
God,
that
I
would have
do
been
look
nice.
forward. Yes, but you know, I think we're hearing nowadays different schools introducing mindfulness techniques. So
Yeah.
let's see what the
A
the
lot of
next
them have,
generation brings.
yeah, a lot of them have gotten rid of detention and they now do meditation and yoga classes, which I love. I love that. I would go to detention on purpose.
Me too. Next question is, share a self-care habit that you practice regularly.
There are a lot. There are so many. The one that is the most important to me is yoga meditation. Every morning, it doesn't matter if you only have 10 minutes. I don't care if you only get through, a couple sun salutations. Yoga is everything. And and I know so many people that are like, well, it's not for me. Make it for you, please. It is it is just everything. And the days that I don't practice yoga, I feel off, I try to start every morning with yoga and every evening with yoga, meditation. I've even brought yoga mats to work before and rolled them out in my office on my lunch break, turned off my lights and meditated.
Awesome.
It's just, I mean, even my daughter's about to be 3 and I teach it to her. She has her own yoga mat. They learn it at her preschool. Yoga and meditation is just, it was everything came out of that. Everything, created, once I created a real strong foundation there, I mean, everything just kind of started spinning off from, in different directions. And I really found my wholeness there. A lot of people don't realize that it's a lot more than an exercise. To me, it's not even an exercise. It's a body, mind, soul connection. And
it's definitely one way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was, to me, every day, that is the most imperative thing, yoga and meditation.
Thank you, Val. I just want to say hi to Hannah. Hannah, welcome. Glad to see you here tonight. And yoga could be just not like the asanas or the postures that you usually see. I mean, I think that's one of the great exercises. I definitely agree with Val. It's something that I do on a daily basis myself. But yoga can also be a type of activity that definitely helps you become aware of where your body's at and where your mind is at. So, for example, if rock climbing is your yoga, it's the activity that sends you, that puts you in zen, then by all means do it. That's your yoga. That's something that I learned from my own yoga instructor back in the days when I was doing my training.
I like that. It's a very good perspective.
Yeah. Next question is, can you please share with us your favorite spiritual movie?
Ooh, there's 2.
Aha.
One just recently came out. They're both documentaries. One is the Heal documentary. Have you seen it yet?
That was
Have you
called?
seen Heal?
The Heal documentary. No, I haven't.
You have to watch it.
Definitely.
So Heal
I'm
came
adding
out
it
months ago.
on the shop, on the book club shop.
Yes. So that is my favorite. Heal is my favorite. And then the other one is it's called On Yoga, the Architecture of Peace. And that you can get on Netflix. If you have a Netflix account, that's on there for free. So those are my 2 favorites. But I don't do a lot of movies. I'm mostly books.
Beautiful. So what's your book that you're reading now?
I have 2. One is Spirit Junkie, which I normally have a book that I'm reading, and then I have a book that's on Audible. So my book on Audible right now is Spirit Junkie, and I love it.
We're doing it right now in the club. Yay!
Yes.
And Val is a member, by the way, so you get to ask her questions after this interview if you want to.
And the other one is called A Path with Heart, which I've probably read 3 times now, and I just keep reading it over and over again. It's by Jack Kornfield, and he is a Buddhist monk and psychiatrist. and it's an amazing book. That's
What is it about?
A Path with Heart is basically it's it goes through the different stories of people discovering self-awareness, discovering love, going through discovering peace, just the different pieces of it. So all the different every chapter is a little bit different. But he teaches a lot about meditation and how to really discover who you are and what direction you're going. And that book, the first time I read it about almost 2 years ago, was completely life-changing. I was in graduate school for social work, and I really was trying hard to, have the master's degree, because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get all these degrees and these certifications, and that's what makes you credible, right? So I was really trying hard to finish all of that, and I knew it wasn't a place for me anymore. And but it was so hard for me to let go. It was so hard for me to own my heart and what I wanted to do. And that book really helped guide me and help me stand in my own and say, this is not serving me anymore. And what is serving me is helping people in a different way, a little less traditional way. And so that's why I just keep reading it over and over again. I quote it a lot in my posts. It's amazing.
Thank you so much, Val. I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure there was people that wants to join the interview. So I was just making sure that I was adding them. So my last question for tonight, which has been such a beautiful time, listening to your own journey. I thank you so much. And the last question is, what is your number one advice for women when building a loving relationship with someone?
Hold on to who you are. A lot of times we go into relationships and we try to mold ourselves to who we think they want us to be. And we start to let go of friends and let go of hobbies and lose who we are. And, I know you get so wrapped up in the new relationship and the love and all the emotions that you just want to spend every minute with them and do everything that they want to do. And when that fades, you're standing there not remembering who you are anymore. So hold on to who you are. Don't let that go. Let whoever you're in the relationship with see who you truly are. And, just don't let your light go down for somebody else, ever. Because it's so hard to get that back.
Mm-hmm. That is so essential, and that's something that I share with the group yesterday on the video. Mm-hmm. I identify, are you compromising your needs, while in this relationship? Awareness, I think, is a huge one. Wow, it's been so powerful. Thank you so much, Val. Thanks to everybody who's watching. Yes. And we get to see you now in the club. She's part of the club.
Yes. Yes.
So I'll see you guys next week, and we're going to be featuring our guest speaker, Crystal Fitzgerald. And I believe her interview is coming up on Tuesday. So if you want to know the schedule for all these events, I'll be posting again the schedule for the February, the Self-Love Interviews series. Hi, Laura. Thank you for joining us.
And I believe you said you posted my website link in the description, correct?
Yes. So how can our audience learn more about your services? Please let us know.
So my website is, the name of my business is Inspired Trails. And so the website is inspiredtrails.com. In the link, I believe the link that's up there will take you to...
We have everything ready on this post.
So it'll take you to the part of my website where you can see what programs we offer and different ways you can work with me. And then also right now there are 3 options on there. One, we have a mini program that's coming up soon. And if you're interested in finding out more information on that, you can subscribe for more information. We also have a 12-week mentorship program, which is amazing. And we go through meditation and yoga, journaling, energy medicine, mindset, mindfulness, law of attraction. There's so much to it. That program is just packed with everything you can imagine. And you work one-on-one with me for 12 weeks. And then the
One-on-one
other
with
option,
Belle.
yeah, it's fun. It's a real
It
fun
is
program.
fun, guys. Let me tell you. I know we're having this interview and it's ending, but get to talk to her on a one-on-one. I was having a ball. Like I said, Belle, you have this beautiful light energy. So what would you say is in your services, what is one of the things that your clients get out from?
I think the biggest thing is self-awareness and authenticity, just really separating yourself from all the outside distractions and stepping into who you are, really figuring out what your passion is, what would make your life meaningful, what would make your life vibrant. And we go through 7 different modalities over the 12 weeks to achieve that. And it's an amazing process to see people just open up and step into their own and just create these beautiful lives for themselves.
What kind of results, can you share some of the results that you have had from clients?
I'm not supposed, oh, I guess since I'm not actually talking about, and I'm not mentioning names, I don't want to,
Or
say
a typical
about,
result.
Yeah, typical results is just lowering your daily stress, learning how to control your stress response systems, learning how to address your daily emotional needs, like especially with self-love, identifying these things, identifying when your body is sending you signals saying that, I need this, I'm overworked, I'm overtired, I'm not inspired, just really identifying what's inside of you. And so, yeah, stress, we could talk a lot about natural healing, natural ways to deal with anxiety, to deal with physical pains. We go through auras and chakras and, how to deal with other stressful people that are around you. One of the things that I had to overcome is I'm empathic. And so when I'm around other people and I pick up their energies, it was so hard for me for the longest
Same here.
time. Like,
yep.
yeah, I mean,
I'm an empath.
So the reason I created this program is because all these different things that I've learned, it took me years to do my own research and piece all these things together, and I had nobody helping me. And so I wanted to take all of that and do it for you and say, you don't have to go search around and find all this stuff. This is what I'm giving you. We work with essential oils of raising your vibrations. Give everything you need for the program: a journal, the oils, diffusers, the yoga subscriptions. All of it is given to you. I put it in a box and I mail it to you. And this is basically everything you need to change your life, to stop being that stressed out person sitting in traffic, freaking out because you have to go to your job that you hate, you don't know what you want to do, you have all this shoulder pain, you just want to cry and hide under your blanket. Like, we're going to address that stuff. We're going to fix that because it's so easy to fix that it's literally right in front of you and nobody is doing it. And I'm going to show you how. Super easy.
Guys, if you want to definitely check her services, the link is on this post. I love what she just said. I think most of us, or all of us, we get so confused and avoid the energy healing process especially when we are sick. So Val, don't be surprised if I call you. When I get sick, I definitely need someone to give me that boost.
I actually just went through that right before, about a week and a half ago. I had a bad cold. And everyone's like, did you go to the doctor? Did you go to the doctor? And I'm like, I don't know if you know, but cold viruses are, that's not how that works. And I did it myself. I used my essential oils. I used my meditation. I used my yoga. I was outside in fresh air, barefoot, feet on the ground, absorbing, the energies. And in 3 days, gone. That's it. It was done. And it was beautiful to heal myself naturally. And that's what I want to share with people, that, we can live these beautiful, happy, vibrant lives completely naturally. It's all within you.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your journey.
You're welcome.
I'm so honored to have you here. Guys, the link, everything, all the information is here on this post. I'll be posting soon the names of the books and videos that Val shared with us tonight. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed the very first interview of the Self-Love interview series. I'll see you next week on Tuesday with our featuring guest, Crystal Fitzgerald. Have a good night or amazing day. Bye. Thank you, Val. Bye, guys.